Okay, welcome back to RTHD. Now, I'm going to be showing my new recommendation for what I recommend to do as a starter if you're just getting into the game, or if for say you've been off for a long time and you're getting back into the game and your account got reset, whatever reason, if you are just at the starter stage, we're gonna say on the basis of level 1 to probably 5 or something is around the testing we're gonna be doing type area. Now, if you're starter, like brand new to the game, when you first get your truck, it's going to have, I think, 50 liters of fuel and only 150 on the durability. I think something like that. Your truck comes low on fuel and pretty heavily damaged. You're going to have to take care of it, at least until you get it repaired. So, if you don't want to risk going into multiplayer, having some other person fly down the mountain at Mach 1 and take you out, and then you're just literally fucked then and there, you can single player to at least get your truck running and get your profits back. Because Road of the Dead is like the best grinding map, in my opinion. It's been in the game for a while. There, I think that's good. I think Road of the Dead has been in the game since day one. But it's a really, really good grinding map because the pay is insane. Now, you'll notice we have a full tank of gas, but we also have like 25% damage. And that's exactly what's causing our gearbox to slip out of gear, is that damage that we incurred. So I was driving this truck earlier, and I didn't repair it when I was done. There is a reason why you should always repair your truck immediately before putting it away. Not upon putting it away, but immediately before you put it away. That way when you get back in, you don't have to worry about vehicle damages. However, when you're just starting the game, you don't have a choice. That's the way your truck comes and you have to deal with it, and it kind of sucks. But if you deal with it right off the bat, and you deal with it properly, you won't have to worry about it. The fuel consumption on this truck is actually pretty low. I do recommend filling up as soon as you get the option, which at the spawn point back there, we had the option. We could have stopped in that outline and filled up gas there, but we already had a full tank. There was no need. But if you didn't, I would recommend too, even if it ends up putting you into debt and your money drops into the negative, it's okay, you'll recover from it quickly. But having that full tank of gas is what you need to pay for more gas. So you need gas. You need a full tank of gas. I recommend filling up from each point, top to bottom. Now, down here, there's probably until you hit level 4, you will not have the fuel trailer. And until you hit level 2, you will not have the repair trailer. So once you're level 2, you can grab this flatbed. And our damages you control up here and repair, and you don't have to worry about watching an ad. At the fuel stations and repair stations, it is cheaper to repair and refuel there, but it does cost an ad. So you save a little bit of RT, but you have to sit there and watch an advertisement, and sometimes it's a fucking full 60-second advertisement, and then you're like, okay, well, if I knew it was going to be sitting here, and then having to close 3 different pop-ups when it ends, I'd have just fucking taken the cash, grabbed the next one, been halfway up the mountain already, but no. You had to make it a 60-second advertisement with 3 pop-ups to close at the end. That's how the ads are these days. So I generally avoid them because I just prefer to get back onto the trail. Also, when I'm recording, I generally avoid them because it's not fair for me to force you guys to watch an advertisement just because I have to watch an advertisement when I can go and edit that out. So under the circumstances that it happens, I go back and edit it out. So once you're level 2, you got repair perks. Also, you might have noticed, I dropped my tire pressure, like, immediately. I always recommend reducing tire pressure. Sure, it lowers your ride height ever so slightly, but it does give you better grip. For this starter truck, also, if you have a friend who has even a little bit of experience in this game, you can ask them for help, and then you have access to a friend who has access to a repair kit or a fuel unit, and then you can just repair or refuel through them. But I'm going to take the small flatbed unit, because that's level 1, and this truck is fully stock. This is the exact truck a level 1 player would have. I just have a full tank of gas, and I have repaired all of my damages. Now the fuel consumption is so little in this truck, you don't want to go... 35 is even fast on this road. You don't want to go quick. Like, you can move decently like we are right now, but you don't want to be a spaceship, because you're just going to end up having your front bumper smash into the ground when your suspension hits too hard. And then it's going to cause you damages, and if you're new, you're going to want to be a bit gentle with this truck, which I was running a bit hot back there. I wouldn't recommend pushing it the way I was just pushing it, because one rough bump that if your front bumper hits at 30 kilometers an hour, the game's going to detect that as collision at 30 kilometers an hour. Well, what do you think the game senses? It just senses collision at 30 kilometers an hour. All it senses is 30 kilometer an hour accident. That sounds like it hurts. And next thing you know, you see your repair gauge in the top right go like 30% into the white, and it's like, ooh, that's a bit of a bullet to bite. Now with the light unit, it's only an 1,100 pound unit, so the truck is pretty light, and it doesn't have any problems. This is easy for this truck to run up with this type of load. You can go up with something so much as 6,000 kilograms. This is 1,100 kilograms. I did a haul just earlier this morning with this, with 11,000 kilograms. I tried to do 15,000 kilograms, doing 2 lumber trailers. Well, 1 lumber plus 1 lumber trailer. So doing 2 lumbers. And I ended up in a pinch where I slid off the side of the mountain. And then after that I tried running 1 heavy lumber, which was 6,000 kilograms. And that was solid. See, if I imagine you heard the bumper just smack the ground, that means I should probably slow down. That means I should reduce that accelerator a bit and chill. Well, because guess what? Reducing accelerator and reducing speed also reduces fuel consumption, so it always stays equal-handed. If you're moving quick, your fuel consumption is a little bit higher. If you're moving slower, your fuel consumption is a little bit lower. I felt like Dr. Seuss saying that. Damn, that was perfect rhyme. Often if you set your RPM to be the edge of the green, the edge of the dark green. Ow. Okay, maybe not the exact edge of the dark green, maybe a notch before, or 2 notches before, notch and a half. It's hard to tell. Get me on flat ground. I am struggling. Don't worry about it. Everything's a-okay. I think that's solid. 16 liters an hour. Okay. You're not going to go forward, Terry. Can we back you out of whatever you hung up on, which appears to be a bump? Caught on a bump in the road. Go around the bump. That was interesting. I didn't have that happen to me on either of the other 2 trips, though I can't remember how far I made it with the trailer unit before I slid off the mountain, so... Oh yeah, good job, Needless. Drive over more bumps at 25 kilometers an hour. Let my bottom scrape the entire bump. Just slam my drive shaft down on the bump. That's good for our truck. It's wonderful. Yeah, I'm being a little bit rough with it, but to be honest, we've taken very, very little damages. And I'm being... Okay. I retract my previous statement. God damn it, yep, I 100% retract my previous statement. I should just drop it in first. I'm better just dropping it in first for now. And keeping it flat. to the floor and not having to worry about modulating. I don't care if I'm burning 28 liters an hour. I'm used to burning 70, sometimes 80, sometimes 111. Well, sometimes you gotta fully lock it in with a heavy load, but that's not often. You burn fuel real quick fully locked in with heavy load. That's how you get those 111 numbers. 111 liters of fuel an hour? Yeah, that's fucking insane fuel consumption. Insanely bad, I mean. Like, that guzzles real quick. I don't even think that you would be able to make it all the way up the mountain at that rate of fuel consumption. You'd need something with a far bigger fuel tank than what this has, that's for sure. These holes, the thing about this road is it's so hard to see the roughness in the road and where it is specifically. These holes can catch you so off guard. That was scary for a moment. It looked like there was a twitch and it looked like we were about to go off the edge. Oh my. Yeah, for the starter truck, I don't recommend pulling a trailer with this. I tried it, and it was going well all the way up until I got to one spot where it started to get rough like this, and the trailer started to slide off, and it just pulled me with it. So, you know, this truck isn't quite heavy enough to hold itself up if the trailer slips off, type thing. Like, I'm sure if you are careful enough, you probably could, and if you took your time, you probably could haul a trailer up. But, do the ends justify the means type deal. The trailer payout's only going to be so high. By the time you get there with all the time you have to take and the fuel expenses of it being more costly, and the difficulties you're likely going to have just on the way, it's probably just better worth your time to take the lighter load. You know, there's one load station here, but I don't go to this load station. But this load station sucks. There is this fuel station here, so technically you could refuel here, and then continue on the way down, you could stop here and refuel if you don't have the fuel trailer unlocked. So until you're level 4, you could stop there and refuel, and then continue back down to your trailer station, and then you can refuel again when you get back there if you need to, or you can keep going to the top where there's another fuel station. Because going from that fuel station there to the bottom of the mountain isn't nearly as far as going all the way to the top. Because I'm pretty sure that's like almost a halfway marker. Yeah. There's a fuel station there at number 2, and a fuel station at number 3, and then a fuel station at the spawn. But if on the way down, it's better to simply just stop at fuel station 2 and go the rest of the way down and grab your trailer and then come back up and refuel at fuel station 2 if you don't have enough to make it around to the top of fuel station 3. But you can do it in whatever manner you want to at the end of the day. That's just my personal per se of advice. God damn it. Yeah, second gear, when you get moving, the rough spots can really bite you. Like I said, that thumper can hit the ground pretty easily. That's the main reason people get new tires, is because often new tires give you better suspension travel, and the higher off the ground you can get, the less chances of your front bumper hitting those bumps. So that's why you'll see people running the monster truck tires and all that. It's because then they literally don't have to worry about it. It's not a problem. They put the pedal to the floor and drive the trail. You know, it's a nice luxury to have those tires on any vehicle. Simply gives you really good suspension travel that lets you not have to worry about damages on roads like this, or have far less concern for damages, I should say. Ooh, that's Perk. He's gonna be joining us in here soon. This is part of the reason why I'm doing this. Ooh, he's dog sitting. No, I didn't downshift soon enough. Obviously, if you have something wider, it's more beneficial, or something longer, it's more beneficial for you to go all the way to the end and do a wide turn, not just for the turn angle sake, but also for the elevation change. You don't want your trailer to get hung up coming over that edge. It's more flat further down. On the way back, you could probably pull trailer just fine. Maybe. Trying to think of anything that might... God damn it. Trying to think of a reason why you wouldn't be able to, but I don't think there is one. Should we just try hauling our heaviest load possible to the Rhino? Here's the thing though, if you got fucked with that load in the slightest, you got fucked. Like, real bad. Why don't we try... Why don't we try the 15,000 weight load? The one that I stripped coming up. Like 26,000 weight load is basically one of those, basically just an extra one of them. I don't want to refill the car. See, just for bringing this one thing up here, at level 1, this gives you 17,000 XP and 13,000 RT. I do recommend that you watch the ad in this case. When the payout is that high, then it's worth it, right? I'm not going to, because again, I'm not going to force you guys to watch an ad, so I'm not going to do that right now. But normally, when my payout is 7,000 or higher, I would say the ad is worth it, because then you're probably paying off your fueling cost and making normally 10k or more. In this case, that would bump to literally 20k. That would bump to 20k. And that's just RT. XP wise, that would bump to... I don't know what 17 divided by 2 is. I'm an idiot. I'm sorry. It's a good thing I have a second device, isn't it? Calculator. $8.5. Yeah, I'm an idiot. I'm sorry. So... 25,000 XP, almost 26. Now that probably would get to 26 because you add the. I think it would be just shy. I think it would be just shy of 26,000. That's insane XP. Do you know how insane XP that is? I am level 25. And that gets me a good way through my level. Like, that's good chunks. That breaks down into 4 portions of 100,000. And then 500,000 portions. That's 20 runs. And that's insane. You could literally get that in a day with how quickly we got up here. And that's just one way. So 50,000 per run up and down. Because the pay is the same on the way up as it is on the way down. I guess I feel like I should show that instead of just saying that. So we are going to run the same weight load on the way down. We didn't even use a quarter tank of gas. We did take on some damages. Hold on, let me fix that. You could probably have hit level 2. Probably. I'm not going to make fully assumptions, but again, you treat the trucks nicer than I did, okay? Ever hear the saying, do what I say, not what I do? Yeah, that's kind of one of these moments right now. I'm doing this for testing purposes. I'm trying to speedrun it in a sense. If you're new, you're doing this for grinding and getting your truck repaired and refueled and making money so that you can get a better truck. I don't recommend putting upgrades into the truck. I recommend running it the way it is, repairing whatever damages you incur, and just running up and down this mountain until you get your new truck. You'll get your truck rather quickly if you just run up and down this mountain fully. Don't stop at the halfway point. It's gonna knock off the price badly. Just go all the way up, all the way down. Yeah, it's longer runs, and it is a bit of a pain, but at the end of the day, it's better than having to do 500 runs at the Lost Town app. So even if you were to just do a few runs every day and watch your ads for your runs, if you did 3 runs, I'm sure you guys could figure out the math by rewinding and figuring out from what the pay was. But if you do the math, 25,000, 3 runs a day, that's 75,000 XP a day. I'm in 20s plus, and that would be literally, I would be basically making 1/4 of a level in 2 days, just by doing 3 runs. And that's if I were to be using this, which you use this, you stick to the plan, you make good money quick, you don't upgrade your truck, you wait until you buy a new truck, and then you use your new truck to haul heavier weight, and then you make more money per haul, but because we're using a higher quality truck, the haul doesn't take any longer than it did before. That's the point of the truck upgrade, is to save time. And logically, you want to do it without consuming more fuel, so you want the fuel consumption to balance out with the time. See, like 10-11 liters an hour at 18 kilometers an hour average, that's really good fuel consumption speed combination. Fuel consumption to speed ratio, sorry. And the trail's not that difficult either. It is, but it isn't. It has spots where it can get you if you're not careful. And if you're hauling heavyweight, it can be quite a challenge then. But when you're running light, it's not that bad. It's pretty simple. Basically just a nice trail ride. And it's like, you know what? If you feel like you're going slow, go into first person. Tell me you feel like you're going slow now. Just try not to fall off the mountain, okay? How about that? Try not to fall off the mountain. Go in first person, try not to fall off the mountain. If you get bored, there you go. Because there is points where you will not be able to see where you're driving. And if you are not experienced with that, it can be so disorienting that you can very, very quickly end up driving right off the mountain. I've seen people do it. It's not uncommon. If you're not experienced with driving while staring at the sky, when you're driving and staring at the sky and it actually happens and you're staring at the sky and driving, you're going to end up misleading your input. And it can be very catastrophic very quickly. But it feels like we're moving a lot faster in first person. It's actually quite enjoyable to drive in first person on this mountain, because it's actually quite similar to trail riding in real world, which is something I did used to do quite often. Wasn't too often I drove old bangers like this, but more often than not, I got to drive a Kawasaki side-by-side and a 1990s Jeep Comanche Cherokee. Both of which were my brother-in-law's. I stayed out at his cabin for roughly a year. And I was essentially his chauffeur. Now, I don't have a license or a learner's license, but I never needed one. I was out in the countryside. So, whenever Tim would go out drinking, I would often go out with him just to BS going out to see the other boys and hang out. And shoot guns, go trail riding, go hunting, fishing, that kind of thing. So, anytime Tim would get drunk, I would be the one who drove us home, because it was better that I drive than for him. It was always back roads, and we had our own trails on we had about an acre of land out at the cabin that we used for trail riding and hunting. It was nice. At one time, Tim came home and said he bought 4 trucks, and they were delivered at his brother's place. Because his brother had more land, and he actually had a nice little racetrack, a gravel racetrack, that every year he would host a public race. About 150, 200 people would come out, and we would race feeder cars. Anything that ran and drove and was safe. If it was, like, we were old school with it, because they were old. They're older folk. They're in their later 60s now. So, we had our base safety regulations like you would in a demolition derby type deal. But otherwise, rubbing his race safely. Just get out there, have fun. People would bring cars they bought for $1,000 that were salvage title and would be a complete hassle to try and get registered to drive on the road, but it's just a nice fun car to play with. You would go buy something like that and bring it out, play with it at the race, and if it wasn't able to run by the end of it, most people just often left them. So we ended up with a field full of cars at one point, and it was wonderful. absolutely wonderful. Like, we had all kinds of things out there. There was one year where a buddy came over and we were having a fire, and he asked about a 90s Honda Prelude that was sitting back in that field. A yellow 1990s Honda Prelude 5-speed manual. And Russell is Tim's brother who owns the place, and he simply said, you know what, if you can get it to run and drive, you can drive it home. And about 30 minutes later, it was running, driving, and he drove the car home. And that was that. And it was amazing just how many cars were out there that had a lot of life and potential in them, that if you'd just done a little bit of work to them, would still be really good daily drivers. I imagine most of the times with the cars that were in that condition, they probably had title issues. I imagine. Otherwise, I wouldn't really see too much of a reason for them to have been brought out there in the first place. They would have been more likely to be better used as a daily driver. But there were some cars that were out there that were nice, good condition cars, and you wouldn't expect them to be running and reliable, but based off of just looking at them. But oftentimes you could sit there for 20 minutes and literally get the car up and running and probably driving without having to buy any additional parts or anything, just from the car sitting there, just working on it the way it is. And yeah, eventually the whole lot got cleared out because they just sat there for a while. Russell stopped hosting the races and basically passed it down to his kids, and his kids just didn't want to put in the efforts of hosting the races, and so the cars just sat there, and the track kind of got overgrown with grass, weeds, all that. It's just a field, really, that we had a gravel track on. It's not much of a gravel track anymore. But after a while, Russell simply sold all of the cars for scrap value. And I think about things like that, and it's like, oh, that would be a lucky thing for someone who needs a beater car or a farm vehicle to stumble upon, because we sold all of them for $250 a piece. Scary. And some of those cars were parked simply because of a flat tire. So you consider it, and it's like there's a lot of value there that just went to scrap that can be found in the junkyard, because all that's where all of it went, to the junkyard for scrap value. So scrapyard probably was really happy for that one, I imagine. But yeah, it's one of those things where if you consider it, there's lots of things that are at a junkyard that you wouldn't expect to be there at all, or to even be in good condition. And you can get some really good condition stuff for junkyard prices. And a lot of things are good but need a bit of work. And that's one of the main reasons why most people will avoid it, is because it needs a bit of work. Or hung up on something. I don't like this. Okay, that's good. I don't like having to go off to the side like that. So scary. One of the things I like about this truck is it very much gives me those junkyard vibes. So very on par to what you would imagine for being found in a junkyard. I mean, let's not die. The fender and the door being painted green, rusted natural blue and white. I like that they kept the interior clean for this. That way, if you wanted to clean it up, you actually could. Comes with the rusted out rims, but I think everything does, to be honest. I think everything comes with the rusted out rims. I don't think we refueled. I'm pretty sure we just grabbed a repair at the top. I can't remember. But yeah, we had 4 pickup trucks, internationals, that were kind of similar to what this is. And they were nice trucks. That is, yes, that is the exact same pay going from top to bottom. Okay, so now we'll do one more going up and one more coming down. And the ones we'll do is you know what, I've made it up with this 6,000. I know it can go up, so actually we'll go up with the 15,000 and come down with the 15,000 if we can make it up with it without dying. We'll have to wait and see. Hopefully we can make it up without dying. But I did try this once before and we slid off the mountain to it. So, well, I didn't actually end up dying. I just slid and was slowly sliding, and I knew I was going to end up dying, so I just left back to the main garage. And then we joined into it was in a single player server. I'm either going to end up having to restart and have it reset me at the spawn with damages, or I can leave and go back to the garage, pay my fuel bill, and then come back in without damages. So I took the better option, which was to avoid damages. Now, hauling a heavy load like this, you'll want to stick to the right side. So the load on the back of our truck is the 6,000 kilogram load, and the trailer must be 7,000 kilograms in that instance. It's a 15,000 load. And the unit without the trailer is a 6,000 kilogram load. So that the trailer and log's entirety behind us must be a total of 7,000 kgs. It's good to know your weight distribution, or at least think you know your weight distribution. I don't know if the game is actually... I would imagine they have, based off of the way things move. It feels like they have accounted for the weight distribution. You're lucky. Come on. Come on. I don't want to go into reverse. Just, yep, thank you. Okay. So, now you guys have seen how we can end up in the situation where we almost die. Pretty awesome, right? Absolutely terrifying. Yeah, those 7,000 kgs wanted to pull us down. We were very lucky that we had a tree nearby. You feel that camera coming on the back. Save fuel if I can. There's the loading station we picked up from. I know. Doesn't feel like we've gotten very far, does it? Because this one's a longer run than the other map. but it's much more simplistic, and at least you can actually make it from point A to point B. I don't know any other map that allows you to haul 15,000 kgs both ways with the starter truck without any upgrades. When you look at it in that format, it's a map that if you have the patience to do a longer run, you don't just get bigger payout, you get massive payout. Like, they emphasize the reward for your patience. And I love it. Yeah, the journey on this one is quite long. And situations like this fucking suck. Where you get caught on some bullshit. Stopping is a bad idea. Because that Travis can slide and it's going to pull us down with it. Gotta keep that forward momentum. just made to get around someone, and for someone to get around you on this map. And the people coming down technically have the advantage because we drive on the right side of the road here. So, person coming down gets to hug the inside wall more. Good shot from there. Makes me think it was around here that I might have slipped off the first time. Just feel like I had back slip out like that just slightly before I slipped off. The end. Yeah, so only do the 6,000 because this trailer will not, it doesn't follow worth shit. That's why I hate these trailers with the steering front axles. They're complete garbage, man. The front axle will start to slide and pull down, and then the whole thing is just all over. Whereas if you have a solid trailer, you don't have that problem. You just have to worry about keeping the back axle. And even if the back axle does manage to slip off with a solid trailer that doesn't have a steering axle in the front, oftentimes the majority of the weight of the trailer is on the upper side, and you don't get drugged down the mountain like we did. Okay. So, that shows if you think that you can handle making it around there with that load, go for it. That's entirely your problem. But that's the second time I've slipped off in that spot with that load. And it's because the front axle starts to slip off and it starts to sink, and then the back axle falls out with it, and then the whole trailer drags down your truck. But if you're doing loads that don't have a trailer, that's not a problem. So you could do the 6,000 kilogram lumber load, which would just be that load but without the trailer. And that would be fine. So I did do that one before recording. I think I got I want to say that it was 15,000 flat. I want to say, but I feel like that could be mistaken. I can't remember, to be honest. Either way, the payout for going up and down this mountain with the level 1 load alone is really, really good, especially if you watch the ads, which I do recommend doing as a starter. The ad alone pays off all of your fuel and damages, and then all of the money you made is profit, and then you likely still have extra. So, yeah, take the extra minute to watch the ad when it took you 4 or 5 minutes to get up the mountain. Maybe more, whatever. It doesn't take drastically long, but it does take a while, right? The truck itself does it just fine without upgrades, so long as you're not hauling a trailer with a steering front axle. I haven't tested with the trailer without the steering front axle. Honestly, I wouldn't recommend taking more than the lumber load of 6,000 kg. You could take the dump bed if you want to, but even then you're starting to push weight limits of traction. This truck on the starter setup, I would say not to push past the 6,000 kilogram lumber unit. In fact, I think the 6,000 kilogram lumber unit is the perfect unit to take up and down the mountain without any troubles. I think it's the perfect unit to take both ways, because it's no trailer, and the truck doesn't struggle, and the fuel consumption isn't that bad, and the reward for payout is better than what you would expect. So I think it's worth it. But that's where I'm going to wrap up for now. I just wanted to do a quick testing of the starter truck to show what the starter truck is like on the Road of the Dead map, which is what I will be using for grinding from now on. And I hope you all have enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next one.